As you wake up and start your morning routine, perhaps pouring yourself a cup of coffee or tea and standing at the counter, you may notice your legs don't feel quite as fresh or strong as they once did. Maybe there's a gentle heaviness that settles into your thighs right away, a slight drag when you take those first few steps toward the table, or even a tiny unsteadiness that makes you hold the edge of the counter just a little longer than you used to. If you're over 60 and these kinds of feelings have become more common in your daily life, your legs tiring faster when you walk to the mailbox, feeling wobbly after standing at the stove to cook breakfast, or simply not having the same solid support when you get up from your favorite chair after reading the newspaper, then please stay with me, because what I'm about to explain could be the missing piece that helps everything make sense and gives you a practical way to feel stronger and more confident again. This isn't about pushing yourself to exercise harder, searching for extra motivation that seems to have faded, or accepting that weakness is just part of getting older. More often than not, the quiet thing that's wearing down your legs is something as ordinary and well-meaning as the fruit you eat with your meals, as a snack during the day, or even as a sweet treat in the evening. And for more than 20 years, I've focused my work on helping older adults like you keep their strength, move safely without fear, and hold on to the independence that makes every day enjoyable. I've sat with so many people who started out full of energy and capability, folks who loved taking long walks in the park with their spouse, tending their garden for hours without stopping, playing games with their grandchildren in the yard, or simply handling all the little chores around the house without any trouble at all. But then their legs began to change in ways that worried them. They started feeling unsteady when they stood in line at the grocery store or the pharmacy. They hesitated before stepping off a curb or climbing a few stairs, and they worried more about losing their balance in the shower, on a slippery floor, or on uneven pavement outside. And almost every single time, when we talked about what they ate every day, they would smile and say with pride, "I make sure to eat fruit every day. It's good for me, right?" That proud comment is usually the key that opens the door to understanding what's really happening behind the scenes, and it's the same pattern I've seen again and again in my practice. The fruit we find in stores and markets today is very different from what our parents or grandparents brought home from the market years ago. Back then, apples were smaller and often had a tartar taste, bananas weren't as long or overly sweet, and mangoes or pineapples didn't have that intense candy-like flavor. Growers have worked over the years to make fruits bigger, juicier, and much sweeter because that's what people reach for when they shop. This means almost every variety now has a lot more natural sugar packed into each bite. But once we pass 60, our bodies don't handle that extra sugar the same way they did when we were younger. Our muscles become more sensitive to insulin, the hormone that manages blood sugar in the body. Our nerves, which send the important signals that let our legs move smoothly and keep us balanced, take longer to recover from any kind of stress or imbalance. And when blood sugar goes up or down, those changes feel bigger and stick around longer, adding extra strain to your energy levels, your stability, and how steady you feel throughout the day. The wonderful thing about learning this is that it doesn't have to feel scary or overwhelming. It actually puts real control back in your hands, so you can make small, simple changes that help your legs feel more reliable and strong again. In the next 20 minutes or so, as we talk together like friends catching up over coffee, I'm going to clearly name the 7 fruits that most commonly and quietly drain strength from legs in people over 60, explain in simple everyday words exactly why they have that effect, and share a practical, easy-to-remember plan that lets you keep enjoying fruit while supporting your muscles and balance instead of unintentionally making things harder. Before we go further, I'd really appreciate it if you could take a quick second to type a comment with your age and your favorite fruit to eat. It only takes a moment, but it helps you stay connected to your own body and notice how it might be responding as we go along. Once you understand how fruit can affect insulin levels, nerve signals, and the power in your legs, you'll have the clear knowledge to decide what to limit, how to adjust your habits, and which little shifts can bring back stronger, steadier legs in just a few weeks. Let me walk you through what's actually happening inside your body after 60 in a way that's straightforward and easy to picture, the way I'd tell it to someone close to me over a quiet conversation. Imagine the big muscles in your thighs and around your hips as soft, absorbent sponges that are meant to take in energy from the food you eat. When you were in your 30s, 40s, or 50s, you would eat a piece of fruit. The natural sugars would enter your bloodstream. Insulin would come along quickly to help direct that energy where it needed to go, and your muscles would soak it up fast and efficiently, keeping themselves fueled and ready for all the activities of the day, whether that was walking to the car, climbing stairs, standing while talking on the phone, or bending down to tie your shoes. The process happens smoothly, and without you even thinking about it. But as we move into our 60s, 70s, and older, those sponges start to lose some of their softness. They get a little stiffer and less able to absorb as well. Insulin doesn't clear away from the bloodstream as quickly anymore. It stays around longer than it should. Because of that, the muscles aren't able to pull in the energy as effectively as they once did. The thigh muscles and hip muscles are especially sensitive to how insulin behaves. When insulin remains high for too long after you've eaten, it sends a message to the body to store that energy away instead of using it to repair tiny daily wear or keep the muscle tissue healthy and strong. Over months and then years, this speeds up sarcopenia, the medical name for the gradual loss of muscle mass and strength that makes simple daily movements feel more difficult, like getting up from a chair without using your arms for help, going up a few steps without needing to pause and catch your breath, or keeping your balance when you turn quickly in a hallway or reach for something on a high shelf. Researchers at the University of California followed 480 adults for a full 10 years. They measured thigh muscle size and strength regularly and looked closely at how blood sugar behaved after meals. What they discovered was clear. People who had frequent sharp spikes in blood sugar after eating lost muscle in their thighs 27% faster than those whose blood sugar rose more gently and returned to normal more quickly. This might feel surprising because fruit has always been talked about as one of the best things you can eat, and you've probably included it in your meals for most of your life, thinking it was doing your body a favor. But the truth is that even natural sugar from fruit can slowly interfere with how muscles repair and stay strong when it comes in large, quick amounts, especially as our bodies become less adaptable with age. If you've ever had a piece of fruit or something sweet and then, not long afterward, noticed your legs feeling extra tired, heavy, or weak, like they just didn't have their usual energy or felt dragged down when you tried to walk across the room or stand a little longer than usual, type the word tired in the comments right now so I know this is matching up with what you've felt yourself. Another big piece is glycemic load. How fast and how high a food pushes your blood sugar up. Fruits like grapes, mangoes, and watermelon taste light and juicy, but they send sugar into your blood very rapidly. Even a small handful of grapes can make blood sugar climb faster than many traditional desserts. That quick rush creates some low-grade inflammation throughout the body, makes it harder for muscles to repair the small daily wear from walking or standing, and slows down how quickly nerves recover from ordinary use. When this pattern continues over several months, you start losing power in the hip muscles and the quadriceps, the large front thigh muscles that act like stabilizers and help you stay balanced, push forward when walking, or steady yourself when you change direction. Researchers connected with Harvard followed 600 adults for 5 years, keeping track of their fruit choices and measuring their leg strength several times. They saw that those who ate a lot of these high glycemic fruits had about a 15% drop in leg muscle strength over that time. And this happened even when their exercise routines stayed about the same. One of the most common mistakes is eating fruit by itself, first thing in the morning when your stomach is empty, or blending several pieces into a big smoothie. Both let the sugar hit your bloodstream even faster and harder because there's nothing else to slow it down. Fiber plays a huge role here too. When you eat whole fruit with its natural fiber, that fiber acts like a gentle speed bump, slowing sugar absorption so your muscles get a steady, manageable supply of energy instead of a sudden flood. Unfortunately, many popular ways of eating fruit today remove or greatly reduce that protective fiber. Fruit juice has almost none left after it's pressed. Dried fruits like raisins, dates, or apricots pack the sugar tight while cutting the fiber way down per bite. Smoothies break the fiber into tiny pieces so it doesn't slow absorption the way chewing whole fruit does. It's almost like trying to water a plant by blasting it with a high-pressure hose instead of using a gentle watering can. The plant gets swamped and can't take it in properly, and a lot just runs off. When your muscles face that kind of sugar overload, insulin shoots up sharply, muscle repair gets put on hold, and fatigue builds up in your legs, often showing as that heavy, worn-out feeling by mid-afternoon or evening. In a 2021 research project in Europe, scientists followed 320 older adults and compared how their bodies handled fruit with plenty of fiber versus fruit with low or reduced fiber. The low-fiber group had post-meal insulin jumps 40% higher, and after 3 months they actually measured a clear decrease in quadriceps strength. That's exactly why paying attention to how much fiber stays in your fruit, when you eat it, and what you eat it with becomes so important. Most everyday nutrition tips don't go into these finer, practical points. Let me tell you about Margaret, who was 71 when she first came to see me. She was a very independent woman who took real pride in looking after herself, especially her eating habits. Every single morning without fail, she would prepare a big, colorful bowl of fruit, sliced bananas, a generous handful of grapes, chunks of fresh pineapple, and ripe mango pieces. She felt good about starting her day that way and thought it was giving her the energy and vitamins she needed. But come early afternoon, usually around 2 or 3 o'clock, her legs would start feeling weak and unreliable. She began avoiding stairs whenever possible. She'd hold on to furniture or walls when moving through her house, and deep down she was starting to accept that maybe this was just what happened as you got older. When we sat down together in my office, she looked at me with genuine confusion and a little frustration in her voice. She said, "Dr. Kent, I really don't get it. Everyone tells me I eat so healthy, so why do my legs feel this heavy and tired all the time? I used to be able to do everything without thinking, and now I feel like I'm slowing down." We decided to try something different using what I call the fruit protocol, which is really just a simple, memorable way to organize the best timing, the smartest food combinations, and sensible portion sizes. We took out those very sweet, high-sugar fruits she was used to, and instead introduced small amounts of lower-sugar options like fresh berries and crisp green apples, but always eaten after she'd had some protein in her meal. We didn't make her give up fruit completely. We just changed how and when she enjoyed it. After only 3 weeks, she came back amazed at the difference. Her legs felt noticeably stronger and more dependable. She was able to go up and down stairs without needing to pause halfway. She could walk farther than before without feeling exhausted, and she told me with a big smile and tears in her eyes, "For the first time in a long while, I actually feel like I can trust my legs to carry me where I need to go." My husband even noticed I was smiling more and moving around the house like my old self. When we measured her progress, her quadriceps strength, the power in the front thigh muscles, had gone up by 18%, her balance test scores improved 22%, and on a scale where she rated her daily fatigue from 1 to 10, she dropped from a 7 down to a 3. That kind of change in such a short time meant she was getting her independence and confidence back, and she felt like she had her life back in her own hands. Then there was Robert, a 74-year-old gentleman who really enjoyed his routine. Every morning he would blend up a big smoothie with a whole banana, lots of mango chunks, a generous splash of orange juice, and some yogurt to make it creamy. He looked forward to it as a healthy start and thought it was giving him a good boost for the day. But by mid-morning, often before lunchtime, his legs would start giving out on him. He'd feel them weaken to the point where he had to sit down sooner than he wanted, even after only light activity around the house. He kept thinking it was simply age catching up with him, and there wasn't much to be done. When we talked it through, he told me, "Dr. Kent, by 10 o'clock my legs just give out and I have to sit down. I thought it was just old age and I'd have to live with it." We made a few straightforward swaps. We stopped the morning smoothie habit altogether because it was delivering too much sugar too fast first thing in the day. Instead, we moved a modest portion of fruit to come after his lunch, always alongside some protein, and we focused on choosing berries that kept more of their natural fiber. Within 4 weeks, he was amazed at how much better he felt. He could go out for 30-minute walks every day without having to stop and rest. He managed stairs without leaning heavily on the handrail, and he described his leg energy as having improved by about 60% compared to before. He said with a big grin, "I can finally play with my grandkids without having to sit down every 10 minutes, and I feel like myself again." When we checked the science-based measures, his muscle protein synthesis rate, the speed at which his body was building and repairing muscle, had increased by 25% from where it started. Stories like Margaret's and Robert's show very clearly that the goal isn't to eliminate fruit from your life completely. It's about learning to choose the right kinds, eat them in reasonable amounts, and time them thoughtfully so they support your body instead of quietly working against it. So now let me walk you through the exact approach I guide my patients to follow, something I've named the fruit protocol, because the word itself helps you remember the main points. The F stands for fruit pairing, meaning you always eat your fruit together with some source of protein or healthy fat. This simple combination dramatically slows down how quickly the sugar enters your bloodstream and helps shield your muscles from those sharp insulin rises. Researchers at the University of Sydney ran experiments showing that when people ate berries alongside Greek yogurt, the insulin spike after the meal dropped by a full 50% compared to eating the berries by themselves. You can do something as easy as having a small handful of blueberries with about 10 almonds, or maybe half a cup of cottage cheese with a few sliced strawberries. The very same berries eaten alone on an empty stomach could cause enough of an insulin reaction to interfere with muscle maintenance and repair over time. Try this with your lunch by adding a small apple after your chicken salad, or with dinner by having berries after your fish. The protein acts like a buffer so the sugar releases slowly, your insulin stays steady, and your legs don't get that tired, heavy feeling later in the day. This pairing helps your legs feel lighter, stronger, more steady, less fatigued, and gives you more confidence in your everyday movements. The R is for right portion, and this is really important because the fruits available now carry much more natural sugar per bite than they did decades ago. Keeping servings small makes a big difference. Think half a cup of berries at a time, or just one small apple rather than a large one. Big fruit bowls, especially first thing in the morning, or fruit-heavy smoothies can easily deliver far more sugar than your aging muscles are ready to handle comfortably. Usually, one modest serving of fruit spread across the day gives you all the vitamins and micronutrients you need without overloading your system. This keeps your blood sugar gentle, protects your muscles from overload, and lets your legs stay energized instead of drained. U stands for understand timing, and this might be the single biggest game changer for many people. Try to eat fruit after you've already had a meal that includes protein and some fat. Never first thing on an empty stomach, or right before eating other foods. When fruit comes after other food, the blood sugar rise stays much gentler, your energy levels hold steady instead of crashing later, and your leg muscles stay better protected from the negative effects. So rather than starting your day with a fruit smoothie, consider having eggs with some vegetables or a piece of whole grain toast with avocado. Save those berries for an afternoon snack paired with a few nuts or a little plain yogurt. That shift in timing alone can make your legs feel lighter and more energetic through the rest of the day, helping you walk farther, stand longer, and feel more confident in your movements. I stands for insulin awareness, which means staying mindful of how certain choices affect your blood sugar and, in turn, your muscle health. Pay attention to the signals your body gives you. Maybe your legs feel heavier than usual, you get more cramps than normal, or fatigue creeps in sooner after eating fruit. Those are valuable clues telling you that sugar might be impacting your muscles more than you'd like. Older adults who started keeping track of those post-fruit feelings and then made small adjustments to their timing and portions often saw their leg strength improve about 18% faster over a 4-week period than those who didn't monitor and adapt. You can do this by noting in a simple notebook how your legs feel 1 hour after fruit, or just paying attention during your daily activities. Finally, T is for test and observe, which brings everything together into a practical trial you can do yourself. I usually suggest starting with a 2-week experiment where you completely step away from the highest sugar fruits that tend to cause the most trouble. Things like bananas, bunches of grapes, mangoes, fresh pineapple, watermelon slices, any dried fruits such as raisins or apricots, and all fruit juices. In their place, bring in small, controlled portions of gentler options like various berries, green apples that are less sweet, or kiwi fruit, but always make sure to pair them with some protein and eat them after a meal rather than on their own. During those 2 weeks, pay close attention to how your legs feel. Note any changes in strength when you stand up or walk, how steady your balance seems, whether fatigue comes on earlier or later in the day, and how much overall confidence you have in your movements. This short trial usually reveals very clearly why certain seniors manage to stay strong and mobile well into their later years. They've naturally fallen into patterns that match this fruit approach through careful timing, smart combinations, and keeping portions reasonable, even if they never called it a protocol. When people follow these steps consistently, the improvements tend to build in a very predictable way. During the first week or so, most notice a subtle but welcome lift in their daily energy, and their legs start feeling a little lighter right after meals instead of weighed down. By the end of the second week, that sense of fatigue begins to fade noticeably, and they feel more secure taking short walks or moving around the house without second-guessing their balance. Moving into weeks 3 and 4, the changes become easier to measure and feel. Leg strength picks up enough that climbing a flight of stairs feels less daunting. Standing for longer periods doesn't tire them out as quickly, and overall mobility starts feeling more reliable. After about 4 weeks and continuing onward, the gains tend to settle in for the long term. Leg strength holds steady or even keeps improving slowly. Balance becomes noticeably better in everyday situations, and the worry about falling starts to fade into the background. This kind of progress doesn't come from forcing yourself to do more intense workouts every day. It comes from deliberately stopping the hidden habits that were quietly wearing down your muscles without your knowledge.